Afternoon, friends. Let's read our Bible today, friends, in the book of Judges, chapter 11. Jephthah the Gileadite was a mighty warrior. His father was Gilead. His mother was a prostitute. Gilead's wife also bore him sons, and when they were grown up, they drove Jephthah away. "You are not going to get any inheritance in our family," they said, "because you are the son of another woman." So Jephthah fled from his brothers and settled in the land of Tob, where a group of adventurers gathered around him and followed him. Sometime later, when the Ammonites made war on Israel, the elders of Gilead went to get Jephthah from the land of Tob. "Come," they said, "be our commander so we can fight the Ammonites." Jephthah said to them, "Didn't you hate me and drive me from my father's house? Why do you come to me now when you're in trouble?" The elders of Gilead said to him, "Nevertheless, we are turning to you now. Come with us to fight the Ammonites, and you will be our head over all who live in Gilead." Jephthah answered, "Suppose you take me back to fight the Ammonites, and the Lord gives them to me, and I will really be your head?" The elders of Gilead replied, "The Lord is our witness. We will certainly do as you say." So Jephthah went with the elders of Gilead, and the people made him head and commander over them. And he repeated all his words before the Lord in Mizpah. Then Jephthah sent messengers to the Ammonites. Uh, then Jephthah sent messengers to the Ammonite king with the question, "What do you have against us, and what you have attacked our country?" The king of the Ammonites answered Jephthah's messengers, "When Israel up out of Egypt, they took away my land from the Arnon to the Jabbok, all the way to the Jordan. Now give it back peaceably." Jephthah sent back messengers to the Ammonite king, saying, "This is what Jephthah says: Israel did not take the land of Moab or the land of the Ammonites. But when they came up out of Egypt, Israel went through the desert to the Red Sea and on to Kadesh. Then Israel sent messengers to the king of Edom, saying, 'Give us permission to go through your country.' But the king of Edom would not listen. They sent also to the king of Moab, and he refused, so Israel stayed at Kadesh. Next they traveled through the desert, skirted the lands of Edom and Moab, passed along the eastern side of the country of Moab, and camped on the other side of the Arnon. They did not enter the territory of Moab, for the Arnon was its border. Then Israel sent messengers to Sihon, king of the Ammonites, who ruled in Heshbon, and said to him, "Let us pass through your country to our own place." Sihon, however, did not trust Israel to pass through his territory. He mustered all his men and encamped at Jahaz and fought with Israel. Then the Lord, the God of Israel, gave Sihon and all his men into Israel's hands, and they defeated them. Israel took over the land of the Amorites who live in that country, capturing of all of it from the Arnon to the Jabbok, and from the desert to the Jordan. Now, since the Lord, the God of Israel, has driven the Amorites out before his people, Israel, what right have you take it over? Will you not take what your God Chemos gives you? Likewise, whatever the Lord our God has given us, we will possess. Are you better than the Balak, son of Zippor, king of Moab? Did he ever quarrel? Did he ever quarrel with Israel or fight with them? For 300 years Israel occupied Heshbon, Aroer, the surrounding settlements, and all the towns along the Arnon. Why didn't you retake them during the time? I have not wronged you, but you are doing me wrong by waging war against me. Let the Lord, the judge, decide the dispute this day between the Israelites and the Ammonites." The king of Ammon, however, paid no attention to the message Jephthah sent him. Then the Spirit of the Lord came upon Jephthah. He crossed Gilead and Manasseh, passed through Mizpah and Gilead, and from there he advanced against the Ammonites. And Jephthah made a vow to the Lord, "If you give the Ammonites into my hands, whatever comes out of the door of my house to meet me when I return in triumph from the Ammonites will be the Lord's, and I will sacrifice it as burnt offerings." Then Jephthah went over to fight the Ammonites, and the Lord gave them into his hands. He devastated 20 towns from Aroer to the vicinity of Menit, as far as Abel Keramim. Thus Israel subdued Ammon. When Jephthah returned to his home in Mizpah, who should come out to meet him but his daughter, dancing to the sound of tambourines? She was an only child except for her. He had neither son nor daughter. She was an only child except for her that he had neither son nor daughter. When he saw her, he tore his clothes and cried, "Oh, my daughter, you have made me miserable and rich, because I have made a vow to the Lord that I cannot break." "My father," she replied, "you have given your word to the Lord. Do to me just as you promised. Now that the Lord has avenged you of your enemies, the Ammonites. But grant me this one request," she said. "Give me 2 months to roam the hills and weep with my friend, because I will never marry." "You may go," he said, and he let her go for 2 months. She and the girls went into the hills and wept because she would never marry. After the 2 months, she returned to her father, and he did to her as he had vowed, and she was a virgin. From this comes the Israelite custom that each year the young women of Israel go out for 4 days to commemorate the daughter of Jephthah the Gileadite. So guys, it was all about Jephthah the Gileadite. He was a mighty warrior. His brothers hate him because his mother was a prostitute, and um he they drove him away from their home. And when when the Ammonites attacked them, the place where his brothers lived, they looked for Jephthah to really save them from the Ammonites, and they promised that Jephthah will be their leader when Jephthah defeated the Ammonites. So Jephthah sent a message to the king of the Ammonites, but the king of Ammonites didn't listen to him. So the Lord gave the victory to Jephthah because he was a good man. The Lord fought with the Ammonites and gave the victory to Jephthah. He killed all the Ammonites, and he became victorious, and promised to the Lord that the first thing that will enter into his house, he will he will offer it as a burnt offerings. But unfortunately, his daughter entered, and as he promised to the Lord, um, he really did what he promised to the Lord, to really offered his daughter as a burnt offerings to the Lord. And his daughter asked him for 2 months so that he can go anywhere she likes before his father will will offer him as a sacrifice to the Lord. So here, guys, it was all about Jephthah. He was a devoted man of God, and God really gave him all the victory during wars. And he was a man of word. He really did what he promised to the Lord, even if it is the life of his daughter. And like for us, guys, whatever we promise to the Lord, make sure that we will really do it, because the Lord will be pleased for us. It will show how we really love the Lord, and the Lord will really test us. And also, we will have all the victories in our lives. We will be successful as long as we really pray to the Lord and trust in the Lord. God bless, and good afternoon.